Well, okay, boy, I think it's known that he was a very close friend of mine, a very, very close political ally. And we shared countless hours with him at his house, at this house, in my place, in the union offices, in COSATU events, and in countless occasions.
Nomsa.
Comrade President, we feel very strong that we are not understood here. And we want to clarify exactly what we say.
We had that ability to convince people when he has a point, that you have convinced him that is a correct point. And very aggressive debater, and very, very frank, very straightforward, but very truthful. A real revolutionary.
You see, comrades are giving us lectures here about our own history that we are proud about. We are proud about whatever comrades have said. We are part of that history. But comrades, I think, must also realize that society is not static. What was rather correct in 1964 and 1994 may not be correct in 1997.
He was one of those very shining stars, up and coming at that particular level.
Well, I think socialism is still alive and kicking. And it remains as an alternative to capitalism. Capitalism has failed. It's capitalism that in fact produces unemployment, diseases, illiteracy, homelessness, and all those things. And I haven't heard even one of these most philosophers denouncing socialism from a philosophical point of view. I think the issue is how do we indigenize our theories underpinning socialism such that they become relevant to the unfolding situation of transformation in our country.
Firstly, as a NUMSA regional secretary and then a deputy general secretary of NUMSA, I was not surprised at all, because I can sometimes say I can see talent. I can see a shop steward, a former shop steward, well-schooled, an organizer, well-schooled, and with a great, great future. And we belong to that category.
We're saying, Chair, to start with, we are not arguing against the alliance. We want the alliance. It's the senior political body to drive transformation in this society. We're there. We are for it. Our resolutions are very clear in these books. So communists must not confuse that.
We was not those type of people when the going gets tough, they melt away from principles.
We have not argued about the deployment in the broader transformation strategy. We have not argued about that. We are saying the national office bearers, as you are sitting there, we believe strongly that in the final analysis, you are the impetus and the driving force of the policy of this federation. And we are then saying, Comrade, outside this room, here is eating people, people are losing jobs. Outside this room. Well, yes, the gap between the rich and the poor is widening. There are many factors contributing to that. One is the reluctance from the private sector to play some key role to ensure that we actually close that gap. I think that's one point. And the second point is that some of these complexities will take time to be addressed. I mean, we've just been in power for 4 years now, and all these things have been done over decades and decades of years. And my view is that the key issue for the party is to engage so that we change and influence the direction of the policy. We are saying, comrades, outside this room, health services are being cut, education budget is being cut, and we're saying, comrades, as this conference was pronounced, we stand against that policy. Workers keep on asking, where is this policy originates from? Well, I heard it for the first time on TV, and I could not explain. But I think the key question is, with clear emphasis on the fiscal discipline, is that not a negation of a policy to drive transformation in the interest of its electorate, so that it begins to, deliver the basic needs. There's a strong emerging view that because Karl Marx predicted the capitalist globalization, that workers should be standbys and be spectators to the consolidation of the capitalism. And I don't think the party must accept that, because people are saying, we hope at some point it will have some heart for the poor, it will have some social concerns for people. And I think the party must take an opposite view that engages the capitalism and offer alternative policies which will matter to the poor. I think that's the only way to do it.
I've become a very, very close friend of the family and of his wife as well.
Well, we met in 1980. Then I was very young and I didn't know anything about politics. It was 80, 81 up until he was detained 85. When they detained him, I kept on asking myself, but why are they detaining him when I had to see him in prison?
In any organization, there are principals. There are those people who are always the last line in command.
Even before we got to marriage, there were times that he had to stay away for quite some time, go underground, okay? There were times that I wouldn't be able to see him for a week. He would go somewhere, sometimes he wouldn't say where, and I would really get mad because I didn't understand exactly but why? Why can't you explain exactly where you're going? But I got used to it. And the bottom line was that we loved each other. That's what kept the relationship going, and we understood each other.
Well, the line of demarcation is very clear. Where I have to represent workers' mandate, even if it differs with the mandate of the party, I would pronounce on that. And I would engage in defense of that mandate. But I would not close my mind to other views that begin to give me some better light and a better understanding of things. But also I think the party must begin to develop and regenerate the cadreship in terms of party leadership at the branch level, district and regional provinces, and consciously do so and spend more. I would argue that one of the things that the party must actually do in this Congress is to resolve that it must develop cadreship. Leaders that understand what the country needs. Our dilemma which comrades who are lecturing us must help us with. As much as comrades give us a lecture, they must also come up with answers to help us really. We're in a dilemma. Is that, Comrade Chair, in any organization, there are principals. I must also say that I haven't seen any Congress where there's been no speculation, where there's been no contestation. That's what democracy is all about. But at the end, we must make sure that the party remains united and is capable to rise above other negative things and assert itself in society and drive programs with a united leadership.
He used to go for walks, go to the movies. He used to play soccer, so I watched him a lot playing soccer.
But leaders that begin to provide a scientific understanding, for instance, of the African Renaissance, for an example, to penetrate the concept and the phenomenon of globalization. Our understanding of meeting the basic needs in relation to the socialist struggles.
We used to enjoy those things together. And most of all, he was quite loving and romantic.
And Comrade, it's important to say that a difference, South African Communist Party, is that those are comrades who all believe in a particular common vision. Those are people who have dedicated their lives not only to die with workers, but to perish with them. It's exactly for that reason that we are saying that this federation, we are prepared to stay with the Communist Party because the three comrades, Comrade Blades Zimande, Comrade Thabo Mbeki, Comrade Charles Makula, they are all leaders of the Congress Alliance. They come from the common theoretical base, common traditions, common history.
But you can imagine, after 19 years, he was my first boyfriend, my first husband. I mean, we got used to each other. I got used to him.
The issue is the party's program and an ability of leadership to drive and provide leadership on the basis of that program.
I mean, he was my friend, my confidant.
I think one of the criticisms against the Communist Party is that it has been silent at critical moments when workers were confronted with major struggles.
Sometimes my father, my everything.
That one. And secondly, is that the party was unable to clarify its positions, you know, on day-to-day policy issues. As a result, people would not know the difference between the party and the ANC. And the party has not managed, you know, to assert its independent profile, you know, to society and to evolve a debate around the changing environment. Those are the critiques for the party.
And now, to look into the future without him, I can't explain it.
And we must go beyond just declarations and pronouncements in terms of resolutions. We must then begin to say, how then do we solve these issues? We're saying our office bearers must begin to say, we hear what you guys have discussed in the NEC. But in terms of our policy as COSATU, this is where we stand. The Central Committee, the Politburo, are we electing people only to attend those formal meetings? Or are we electing people to serve as organizers of the party, to move around and build the collapsing party structures? That, to me, is very clear.
We're losing here a cadre which was at his prime time, at the time when his contributions were most appreciative and maturing, but very, very strong on the matters of principle.
The Communist Party must identify focus areas in terms of policy and develop campaigns and engage the alliance without compromising its independence as a party.
It's a pity that he has gone so early, and whilst we were still looking forward to many, many great things.
We've got to be honest, comrades. The fundamental problem that has put tension to the alliance is around policy formulation. We don't agree. And you are saying you must defend our policies of the federation. And you are not apologizing about this, Commissioner.
The impact of his loss will not be measured for many, many decades to come.
The key question here is that when communists go into the ANC, they must be communist within the ANC. They must not be communist of the ANC, because there's nothing like that. You are a communist in the church, in sport, in the ANC, and in other mass formation. I'm a communist in the trade union movement. I will not change. I sponsor my ideas. I originate my ideas from a particular socialist and a class perspective. So I think we must be understood from that broader context.
Loads and loads of comrades will stream here when they heard he was in hospital first, and when they heard that he was out of the hospital. And we have to send out a letter to comrades to say, please scale down the number of hours you spend with the guy in hospital. He's getting tired. We're getting complaints from the hospital, and you can judge from that in terms of who he was, in terms of having a very special place in the hearts of many, many people.
And lastly, Comrade Chair, how we influence the ANC is not only through the NEC representation.
Sometimes I suppose I'm scared. That's another way of putting it. I'm really scared.
We influence the ANC through campaigns, through bilaterals. The representation in the NEC is not the only mechanism from heaven.
But what they say, the Englishman usually says, life must go on.
We want a strong party with strong ideas and policy proposals that is able to look for alternatives so that it adds quality in this marriage.
But I don't know how I'm going to do it.
So I'm saying a COSATU, a strong COSATU, a strong SACP and a strong ANC is in overall a very positive, qualitative contribution to transformation.
I think that both COSATU, the party, and the alliance as a whole will miss his contributions for many, many years to come.
But the issue is there are people who do not want to see progress. And I'm arguing that there has been progress. But it is not up to the speed that we expected. And the parties expected in that regard, and COSATU, to deepen the essence of that change. That it's not cosmetic, it's profound. And comment on record, all the theory, the history, we don't only agree with it, it's ours as well. But let's just check what is happening beyond this house in terms of politics. That's what we say.
Thank you, Ngewnda.
And I've lost a friend.